The mic crackled, and the announcer's voice roared. And the champion of the Junior Obodo tournament, Ojeki Okonkwo. The crowd erupted, but Ojeki stood still, her gold medal heavy on her chest. She searched the stands, aching for the one face missing, her father. The next day in church, she knelt at the altar, whispering the only prayer her 7-year-old heart could form. God, I just want a dad. She didn't know someone was listening, a billionaire, broken by betrayal, yet drawn to her innocence. Their meeting would spark a journey of hope, love, and redemption, proving that even the simplest prayer can lead to miracles.
Hello guys, haven't subscribed yet? Please subscribe now, hit the like button, and leave a comment to help.
Ojeki, at 7 years old, carried a secret wish deep in her heart, a wish as vibrant and persistent as the wildflowers she loved to gather. More than new toys or endless sweets, Ojeki wished for a father. Not a vague, shadowy figure, but a real, laughing, strong-armed daddy who would lift her high, just like the ones she saw in parks and playgrounds. Today, that wish was a tangible ache. The community hall buzzed with electric excitement, the air thick with the scent of popcorn and nervous energy. Ojeki, small but fierce in her bright white karate gi, stood beside the mat, her heart thrumming against her ribs. She'd trained relentlessly for the Junior Obodo tournament. Every kick and punch a silent prayer for strength, for recognition, for something more. The first names were called. The third place winner, a boy whose mother beamed with silent pride. Then, the announcer's voice boomed, and the runner-up for an outstanding performance, Nneka Okpara. A strange ache bloomed in Ojeki's chest as she watched Nneka, a girl with a bright, confident smile, practically bounce to the stage. But it wasn't Nneka alone. From the front row, a burly man with kind eyes surged forward, his face alight with pride. Her daddy, Ojeki thought, a familiar, sharp pang hitting her. He swept Nneka into a hug that lifted her feet right off the ground, a booming laugh echoing through the hall. He stood by her side as she accepted her medal, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. When the photographer called for a picture, he scooped her up again, holding her aloft like a trophy, his cheers mingling with the crowd's thunderous applause. Nneka's mother clapped her hands above her head, dancing a joyful traditional dance, her family an island of pure, unadulterated jubilation. Ojeki saw the genuine love, the shared triumph, and a longing so profound it felt like a physical weight settling on her. If only that were me, she whispered to herself. If only my daddy was there to lift me up. Then the mic crackled. The announcer's voice boomed, calling, and the champion, the gold medal winner of the Junior Obodo tournament, with an incredible display of discipline and skill, Ojeki Okonkwo. A wave of sound washed over Ojeki. For a split second, the world tilted. She won. A wide, incredulous smile bloomed on her face. Her moment, her triumph. But as she began to walk, a new, thrilling surge of hope pulsed through her veins. Her eyes, bright with unshed tears of joy, darted frantically through the blurry faces in the crowd. Now, she thought, her steps quickening. Is this it? Will he be there? Will he come now? Her gaze swept past her beaming teacher, past the cheering parents of her friends, searching for the one strong, loving face, the one pair of arms, the one booming voice that would call her name with that special, fatherly pride. She reached the edge of the stage, her heart hammering a frantic rhythm against her ribs, a hopeful gasp catching in her throat. She looked, really looked, into every corner, every shadow, her smile faltering, just a fraction. Was that him? A tall figure near the back? No, just a stranger. Another, moving quickly? Only a volunteer. The announcer gestured for her to step up. The metal sat on a velvet cushion, gleaming under the bright lights, waiting. But her eyes were still searching, scanning, hoping against hope that this time, her wish would finally be met. The applause swelled, but to Ojeki, it sounded distant, muffled. The smile on her face had almost completely vanished, replaced by a tiny, trembling frown of confusion and burgeoning disappointment. Her shoulders, which had been so straight with triumph, drooped a little. A single tear, born not of sadness, but of a hope that was too big to contain, pricked at the corner of her eye. She was about to step onto the podium, her heart heavy with a dawning realization that no one was coming to lift her up. Daddy, Daddy. Ojeki shot upright in her bed, her voice a desperate, echoing cry in the sudden silence of her room. Her cheeks were wet, her heart still pounding with the adrenaline of the dream, the phantom weight of a gold medal heavy on her chest. The room was dark, save for the faint glow of her nightlight. No crowd, no stage, no triumphant cheer, just the small, familiar space of her bedroom. She wrapped her arms around her knees, hugging them tight. The ache was still there, a soft, persistent throb. But it wasn't the dream's ache. It was a new one, a strange pressure on her chest, a weight that felt both cold and heavy. She reached a trembling hand to her neck, her fingers brushing against something cool, metallic and shining, something that hadn't been there when she fell asleep. A gold medal. She blinked in the dark, her heart now a frantic drum against her ribs. The medal was real. Its weight was real. But the rest of the dream had been so clear, so vivid. Had it? A slow, creeping dread began to take hold. She remembered the podium, the crowd, the final, crushing disappointment. And she remembered the tall figure in the back, the one she had dismissed as a stranger. But the shape of his shoulders, the way he had moved, it was him. He hadn't lifted her up, hadn't cheered her on. He had simply waited. Ojeki squeezed her eyes shut, a gasp catching in her throat as she finally understood. The dream wasn't just a dream. It was a memory she had repressed, a memory of her father not lifting her up in triumph, but placing the cold, heavy shining metal around her neck in the deafening silence of a hollow victory, a silence she had desperately tried to fill with her own wish. But what did that silence mean? And where had he gone after? A terrifying thought, as cold and heavy as the metal around her neck, settled in her mind. What if the dream wasn't a wish for her father to show up, but a premonition of him finally leaving? But in real sense, she has never met nor seen her father, but even as the dream faded, leaving behind the sting of its conclusion, a tiny ember of hope still glowed within her. Tomorrow, she thought, clutching her worn teddy bear, while her shining metal around her neck illuminates. Tomorrow, maybe. A prayer at the Presbyterian Church. The next Sunday, the sun peeked through the stained glass windows of the Presbyterian Church, casting kaleidoscopic colors onto the pews and worn red carpet. The scent of old wood, beeswax polish, and faint perfume lingered in the air. Churchgoers murmured their greetings and shuffled into their usual seats, Bibles in hand, while the choir finished their final practice notes behind the altar. In the fourth pew from the front, a little girl sat quietly beside her mother. Her name was Ojeki Okonkwo, a bright, curious 7-year-old with thick braided hair and a soft pink dress that hung a little too loosely on her thin frame. Her legs dangled from the pew, swinging gently as she watched other families walk in. Fathers lifting their children, mothers laughing alongside husbands, kids tugging on their dad's sleeves with glee. Ojeki's eyes followed one girl, about her age, who ran into the arms of a tall man with a beard. He swung her up like she weighed nothing and kissed her cheek, while the mother smiled beside them. That moment hit Ojeki like a wave. She looked down at her lap, her fingers clutching the hem of her dress, her throat tightening. Her mother, Didi, noticed. She always noticed. Didi was in her late 20s, wearing a modest cream ochre blouse and a faded skirt.
Hello guys, haven't subscribed yet? Please subscribe now, hit the like button, and leave a comment to help.
Wearing a modest cream ochre blouse and a faded skirt. She was beautiful in a quiet, resilient way, eyes tired but warm, her smile reserved but real. Ojeki hadn't been easy. Didi had raised her alone since the moment she came into the world. She had never spoken much about Ojeki's father, except to say he wasn't someone worth remembering. As the pastor's sermon began, Ojeki's mind, consumed by her own silent longings, tuned out the words. Her gaze drifted from her mother, Didi, whose eyes were closed in prayer, to the altar, the sacred space where people spoke to God. A powerful, unseen force seemed to pull her forward. Like a whisper of a shadow, she slid from the pew. Her small patent leather shoes made soft taps on the floor as she walked slowly down the aisle, a hush falling over the congregation. A few heads turned, but no one moved to stop her. It was as if a silent understanding hung in the air, a collective breath held in suspense. Ojeki reached the altar and knelt on the cushioned prayer bench, her small hands clasped tight. In the profound silence of the sanctuary, her voice, a fragile whisper, floated upward like a wisp of smoke. God, I just want a dad, please. That's all. I don't care if he's rich or tall or funny. I just want someone who loves me and mama. Someone who won't vanish like the others, but will stay. Please, can I have one too? Tears streamed down her cheeks, her small body shaking with a raw vulnerability only a child could express. Her simple, heartfelt words, born of pure hope and deep longing, hung in the air. As she finished, a sudden, almost imperceptible shift occurred. A faint, golden light seemed to illuminate the very spot where she knelt, a silent, powerful answer to her prayer. She didn't know it. At that moment, a man who had been standing a few pews back paused mid-prayer. He had walked into the church late, hoping to slip in unnoticed. He had no reason to be there. He hadn't entered a church since his world crumbled a decade ago. But that morning, as he navigated the infamous go-slow traffic of Obodo, a deep-seated void had steered him off the expressway. Chidi Okeke, 34, stood at the rear, hands buried in his kaftan pockets, his thoughts a storm of bitterness and isolation. Outwardly, he was the epitome of success. Founder and CEO of Naija Property Innovations, one of Nigeria's booming property fintech firms, gracing the covers of Business Day, revered by entrepreneurs and envied by competitors. Yet inwardly, he was a wreckage of betrayals. Business partners who embezzled funds, lovers who exploited his fortune, and a family fractured by greed. Trust had evaporated like morning mist over the Obodo Lagoon. Faith in humanity, long extinguished. But Ojeki's prayer pierced him like a thunderbolt. Its purity unraveled the walls he'd built, stirring forgotten emotions. He lifted his gaze to the trembling girl at the altar, her shoulders heaving. As she rose and returned to her mother, he watched Ndidi envelop her in a tender hug, kissing her forehead without a word. Chitty collapsed into a back pew, attempting to pray, but he couldn't. Ojeki's words echoed relentlessly. God, I just want a dad. Why did it gut him so? Perhaps it mirrored his own orphaned youth in the slums of Allingno. He had to know more about them, or risk the regret haunting him forever. A chance encounter. The rain had started to fall just as the last of the congregation filed out of the Presbyterian church. Droplets speckled the potholed streets, but no one seemed in a hurry to leave. There was a warmth in the air, the kind that lingered after something meaningful had happened. Chitty loitered beyond the steps, his back against a rusted iron gate slick with moisture. He wasn't sure what had stopped him from walking to his car. Maybe it was the prayer. Maybe it was her, the little girl with the pink dress and a voice too honest for someone so young. Her words kept replaying in his head like a broken record, not because they were dramatic, but because they were simple, direct, real. Clad in a crisp embroidered kaftan and polished loafers, Chitty embodied corporate prowess, his stubble hinting at sleepless nights, sealing deals. But his composure cracked as the doors swung open, revealing Ojeki and Didi, hands clasped tightly. They stepped cautiously, Didi fumbling for a tattered umbrella from her bag, bent and unreliable, but sufficient against the drizzle. Chitty acted on impulse. "Excuse me," he called, approaching. Didi whirled, shielding Ojeki instinctively. This stranger was imposing, impeccably dressed, out of place in this modest Obodo neighborhood. Suspicion flared. Obodo taught wariness of smooth talkers. "Yes," she replied coolly, her stance firm. Chitty offered a sincere smile, palms up. "I don't mean to intrude. I overheard your daughter's prayer at the altar." Didi's eyes narrowed. Ojeki peeked out, curious. "You heard me?" she asked, her voice small but bold. "Yes," Chitty said, kneeling to her level. "It moved me deeply." Didi softened slightly, sensing no malice, yet caution lingered. Stories of scams abounded in the city, but his eyes held a familiar pain. "Is that okay?" Chitty added, standing and scratching his neck. "It just lingered with me." Didi nodded warily. "We all yearn for something." Ojeki tugged her sleeve. "Mama, he heard my prayer." "I know, my love," Didi murmured, smoothing Ojeki's braids. Silence stretched, tense. "I'm Chitty," he extended a hand. "Chitty Okeke." "Didi Udoka," she shook it firmly. "This is Ojeki." Ojeki waved shyly. "Hi, I'm 7. 7's a powerful age," Chitty grinned. Didi chuckled unexpectedly, easing the air. "What brings a man like you here?" she probed. Chitty glanced at the chapel's cross. "Honestly, a bad day. Traffic, stress, ended up seeking solace." Didi assessed him keenly, her maternal instincts sharp. He seemed genuine, but Obodo bred skeptics. Boldly, Chitty said, "I'd like to see you again. Maybe Tietabuka? No obligations." Didi arched a brow. "We're not your typical company." He laughed. "Neither am I." Hesitation gripped her. Strangers spelled risk. But something tugged. "I don't share numbers lightly," she said. "Understandable," Chitty replied, handing her a plain business card. Didi's eyes widened. The Chitty Okeke of Niger property? Rumors of his empire swirled. He smiled tightly. "That's the past me. Now I'm seeking change." She pocketed it, shaking hands deliberately. "Perhaps tea then." Ojeki beamed. "Do you like puff puff?" Chitty's heart warmed. "Adore it." They parted, Didi and Ojeki vanishing under the umbrella into the rain. Chitty watched them until they turned the corner. He didn't know what had just begun, but for the first time in a long time, he hoped it wouldn't end. A spark of hope. The bell tinkled at the Kasbuka as Ndidi nudged the door open. Ojeki darting inside. The spot hummed with the scent of fried plantain and egusi soup, the floor creaking underfoot. Chitty sat in a corner booth, his eyes locked on the entrance. He wore a casual shirt and trousers, having ditched his power attire, but his fidgeting hands betrayed him. He stood when he saw them, his voice catching. "You came." Surprised? Didi teased, unwinding her scarf. Ojeki slid into the booth, dropping her backpack with a thud. "This place has the best puff puff, like Wonders." Chitty grinned. "Wonder Puff Puff? Impressive." Didi added, "Ojeki picks the star-shaped ones." The waitress, a jovial woman named Becky, took their orders. While they waited, Ojeki chattered. "I love drawing, hate maths. Division is wicked." Didi laughed. "I say it's like sharing meat pie." Ojeki pouted. "But I want all the meat pie." Chitty leaned in. "You're onto something. President material." Ojeki beamed. Didi watched him. Really watched. He wasn't distracted. Wasn't faking it. He listened. Sipping her zobo, Didi probed. "Chitty okeke, property tech hotshot. Why us?" That day at church, it wasn't just Ojeki's prayer, was it? He paused, his eyes dropping to his hands. "I was lost. A bad day, worse than most. I wandered into that church, ready to leave. Then I heard her." He glanced at Ojeki, now holding a cut puff puff. She wasn't asking for a toy or a wish list, just a dad. And the way she said it, it was like I'd forgotten what it meant to want something so badly and be that honest about it. I don't know why it stuck with me. It just did. Didi's breath caught. Could this stranger mean what he said? "Well," she said softly, "we're glad you didn't leave." Ojeki looked up. "Come to music day at church. It's the best." Chitty smiled. "Deal." They lingered, trading stories of soul music and secret dislikes. As they left, sunlight spilled across the lot. Chitty walked them to their car. Didi faced him, her voice firm. "Ojeki's not a project, Chitty. If you're not sure, don't start." He met her gaze. "I'm not looking for a project. I'm hoping for something real, something worth showing up for." Didi studied him, her heart stirring with cautious hope. "Okay," she said. "See you next time."
Hello guys, haven't subscribed yet? Please subscribe now, hit the like button, and leave a comment to help.
Dinner at the apartment. The cracked pavement and a flickering stairwell light made the old agro apartment building look like a place people passed through, not stayed. But Chitty wasn't passing through tonight. He sat in his E-Class Mercedes, the soft hum of the engine long faded, his nerves anything but. He could see their balcony from where he sat, just a metal railing and two mismatched chairs, one of them covered in sidewalk chalk dust. His heart thudded. Tonight wasn't supposed to feel monumental, just dinner. Didi had invited him over for pounded yam and okra soup, Ojeki's pick. "Don't dress fancy," Didi had warned on the phone. "We're paper plate kind of crowd." But Chitty wasn't nervous about the plates. He was nervous about the moment, about showing up and what that meant. He hadn't truly shown up for anyone in years. Still, he got out of the car. Didi answered the door wearing a vibrant African fabric wrapper and blouse, her hair pulled up in a loose bun that barely held. She looked real and beautiful in that way that people are when they're not trying to be. "Hey," she said, stepping aside. "Come in. Ojeki's been waiting." The apartment smelled of fresh scent leaves. Toys spilled from under the couch, a welcome chaos. Then Ojeki appeared, a small, fierce protector clutching a wooden spoon like a sword. "You came," she said, her voice a joyous shout. Chitty saw in her eyes a reflection of the child he once was, a child desperate for a father he never had. "I'm stirring the magic pounded yam." Chitty crouched, meeting her eyes. Best magic I've ever seen. Dinner was humble yet heartfelt. The meal, freshly cooked pounded yam and okra soup with a chilly drink, was a stark contrast to the five-star restaurants he frequented. But as Chitty watched Ojeki, her face lit by the glow of a crooked lamp, he felt a tremor. The quiet admission that his last relationship had left him empty wasn't a confession. It was a smokescreen. The truth was far more terrifying. He was a wreckage of betrayal, and he was risking everything by opening his heart to these two. Yet, in that small apartment, he felt something he hadn't in years: home. Halfway through, Didi asked softly, "What was Chitty like as a kid?" He hesitated. "My mom died when I was 11. Dad wasn't built for it. I grew up alone." Her fork stilled. Ojeki tilted her head. "So you missed Puff Puff and movie nights?" Chitty smiled at her. "Exactly. Magic noodles, too." Didi's hand brushed his, almost trembling. Maybe it's not too late for those things. Later, on the balcony, silence pressed between them. Didi's voice broke it. "I'm scared. Scared you'll get close to her, to me, and then vanish." Chitty's throat tightened. "You're more than enough. Both of you." Her gaze stayed fixed on the dark street below. "I stopped counting on people long ago." He leaned forward, raw. "It terrifies me how much I care already." Didi didn't smile. She whispered, "Then stay. Keep showing up. That's all." When he left, the night felt different. He wasn't walking away empty. He was tethered. And Didi, watching from the window, felt something dangerous and beautiful spark inside her. Hope. A family getaway. Harmattan broke over Obodo in a soft burst of color, making everything seem brighter, sweeter, almost like a promise. But Didi's world had been gray for years. Then came Chitty, no longer just the man from church, but a quiet, steady presence. The kind that slips into your life so gently you don't realize how much you needed it until it's there. He was a man who brought flowers and coffee and who looked at her daughter, Ojeki, like she was the most important person in the world. He had become a part of their rhythm. Still, Didi carried one quiet fear. What if this happiness vanished as quickly as it came? That Saturday, Chitty arrived with coffee in one hand, wildflowers in the other. Ojeki, already waiting by the door, accused him of being late. "You're lucky you brought flowers," she sniffed. Didi's laugh softened the moment, but Chitty noticed the way her eyes lingered, searching, like she was waiting for him to prove he wouldn't disappear. Their road trip to Takeda was filled with laughter, music, and Ojeki's endless questions about monkeys and pancakes. But even as Ndidi smiled, a shadow of doubt tugged at her. Could this fragile new family truly last? At the cabin, Ojeki darted from room to room, her joy filling the walls. That night, with marsh gin roasting over a crackling fire, Didi whispered, "Aren't we too much? The noise, the mess?" Chitty's eyes didn't flinch. "You're not too much. You're worth it." Outside, the wind howled against the cabin as though testing that promise. The next morning, high on the Udi Hills, Ojeki stopped suddenly. She pressed Chitty's phone into his hand, her little voice steady. "I think God sent you, because I prayed, and you came." Chitty blinked, his throat tight. "I think he sent you to me, too," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. That night, as Ndidi tucked Ojeki into bed, a quiet peace settled over her. When she returned, she found Chitty staring at photos on his phone, photos Ojeki had taken of him, of her, of their small, new world. "She really sees you," Ndidi said. "And you?" he asked, turning to her. "I see a man who didn't run," she said, taking his hand. "A man who came closer instead. Just presence." That's all it took to become a family. A new kind of home. Back in Obodo, the city was blooming, but a new kind of drama was about to unfold. Chitty, who had never believed in grand gestures, chose Gongoat Park for a picnic, the perfect place for a secret plan to take shape. He paced the field, his hands trembling. Ndidi spotted him from across the grass, a vision in a white sundress. Ojeki was skipping beside her, a bouquet of dandelions clenched in her fist. "There's our guy," Ojeki shouted, barreling into Chitty's chest. He knelt, catching her, and then laughed, a sound so full of genuine joy it made Ndidi's heart ache. "I'm not nervous," he lied. "I'm just excited. Big day." After they ate, while Ojeki was off blowing bubbles, Chitty turned to Ndidi. "This is the first time in years that I feel whole." He reached into the picnic basket and pulled out a small, navy blue box. "Ndidi Udoka," he said, his voice shaking, "will you marry me and let me be Ojeki's dad in every way?" Tears pooled in Ndidi's eyes, but before she could answer, a high voice interrupted them. "Wait, what's happening?" Ojeki came running, her eyes wide. Chitty turned to her, still kneeling. "This is the part where I ask your mom if she'll let me be part of your family forever." Ojeki's eyes lit up. "Like a real dad? Forever? Like, for real?" "If she says yes." "Only if we get pancakes at the wedding," Ojeki declared, throwing her arms around his neck. Ndidi laughed through her tears. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Yes, I'll marry you." The wedding day glowed with sunlight, but as Ndidi stood at the church doors, her chest tightened, not with fear of marrying Chitty, but of losing him. Could something this good truly last? Then she saw him waiting, his eyes locked only on her, and for the first time, doubt loosened its grip. When Ojeki whispered at the altar, "Are you ready to be my dad?" Chitty knelt, opening his arms. "I've been ready since the first time I heard your prayer." The vows were raw, unpolished, trembling with truth. And when Ojeki unfolded her tiny paper, "Dear Chitty, I asked God for a dad. He gave me you. You make the best pancakes. And you love me and mommy, and that's all I ever wanted." The entire church wept. That night, under string lights and a starlit sky, the three of them swayed barefoot on the courtyard grass. There was no music but a lone violinist's soft tune. Ndidi leaned against his shoulder. No one said a word, because in the quiet, one truth remained extraordinary. A little girl had prayed, and heaven had answered. Now pause for a moment. Imagine being just 7 years old and asking God for only one thing. Not toys, not riches, just a father's love. What would you say if the person who overheard that prayer was someone powerful enough to change everything? If you were that stranger, would you walk away or would you step in and risk your heart to answer a prayer that wasn't even meant for you?
Hello guys, I hope you enjoyed our stories. Please hit the like button, leave a comment below and subscribe to our channel.